Hello and thank you for joining me today. My name is Wesley Boudreau, one of the financial advisors here with the Retirement Group. Today I'm going to give you a really quick update on the interest rates and how they're going to affect the ExxonMobil Pension lump sum calculations, especially for the upcoming fourth quarter of 2020, because we're seeing the lowest interest rates we've ever seen in the history of the company, which is probably going to generate some of the highest lump sums you may ever see in your career. Before we get started, for anybody that does have any questions, again, feel free to call us at 1-800-900-5867. We'll be more than happy to answer any of those questions, as well as run a complimentary cash flow analysis to help you determine the best day to retire and see those different lump sum and annuity calculations side by side. So for those of you that do not know who the Retirement Group is, we are an independent financial advisory firm that focuses on working with corporate employees and helping them transition into retirement. We've been doing this for close to 30 years. We work with about 30 different companies, and Exxon being one of those core companies that we do work with. Our goal there is to make sure we understand your benefits plans inside and out so we can help you through the process when it comes time to retire, but also review those options 5, 10, 15 years before retirement to help you determine the best day to retire so you maximize your benefits. Now, we've got offices throughout the country, so rest assured if you do retire and you still need our help and our services, we've got somebody probably nearby to help you one-on-one. And again, ultimately, if you do get anything out of this today, is take us up on that complimentary cash flow analysis. With that, we can actually run various numbers for you, look at various retirement dates, and look at the annuity versus the lump sum side by side. But today we're going to go through the lump sum because that's what the focus is on the interest rates. For those of you though that don't have need a review of the pension plan for Exxon, we're looking at it as a defined benefit plan, and the basic calculation is taking a look at your years of service based upon a multiplier, and your final average pay to determine what your single life annuity is going to be for the rest of your life. Now from that point, everything else is calculated from that, whether you take the joint survivor annuity or whether you add a period certain of 10, 15, or 20 years, or you take the lump sum. Now in 2015, Exxon came up with a great option where they can allow you to take partial lump sum and partial annuity in 25% increments. Now for the lump sum, what we're talking about today, what they do is they take your single life annuity, take a look at your age and your life expectancy, and depending upon interest rates right now, they use that to calculate what your actual lump sum would be. So there are actually two different ways of calculating the lump sum. Depends upon how long you've been with the company. For those of you that have been there for at least 23 years, and you'll be 63 by the end of 2020, you're going to be grandfathered, which goes by the GAT rate, which is going to be the 30-year Treasury times 95%. So that's going to be a lower rate, which generates a higher lump sum. For those of you that are not, you're going to be under the Pension Protection Act, the segment rates, which we'll talk about in just a moment. So with that, there's actually going to be kind of a correlation between interest rates and your lump sum. As interest rates go up, which they have in the past, your lump sum will go down. But in the last 15, 18 months or so, we've seen interest rates actually dropping, which has caused the lump sums to actually increase. Now, if we take a look at this rate chart right here, I talked again about the grandfathered individuals, those that are going to be at least 63 years or older and have been there for 23 years or more by the end of 2020. Your rates are going to be on that far right-hand side, the grandfather rates. So for our third quarter right now, we're looking at actually 1.75%, which was actually the lowest in the history to this point. Until we fast forward to Q4 coming up in a few months, we're actually dropping all the way down to 1.25%, which is by far the lowest we've ever seen in the history. Now, if we go back about a year or so on Q4 of 2019, we're looking at about 2.75%. So we've come down 1.5 percentage points. Now, generally speaking, a 1% change in interest rates is going to correlate to anywhere from an 8 to a 12% change in your actual lump sum calculation. But generally speaking, we'll look at 1% equals 10% roughly. So that 1.5% drop has actually meant that you've seen about a 15% increase in your lump sum over the last year or so. So if you were looking at $1 million lump sum before, it might be $1,150,000. If it was $500,000, it might be $575,000, so on and so forth. Now, for those of you that are not grandfathered, we talked about the Pension Protection Act and the segment rates that are used. Those segment rates are actually going to correlate to the first 5 years of your retirement for the first segment. The second segment is going to be for years 6 through 20. And the third segment is going to be years 21 and beyond. For most individuals, the bulk of those retirement years are going to fall in that second segment, so that rate's going to be a little bit more important than the others. But if we look at the rates, the way they calculate them is they actually look at the the average of June and May to determine what the fourth quarter is going to be. And June set a record for the lowest that we've ever seen in the Pension Protection Act segment rates across the board for the first, second, and third segment. So using that average now, we're dropping the fourth quarter down to 0.91% for the first segment, 2.68% for the second segment, and 3.4% for the third segment. And that's a pretty big drop even just from Q3 right now, which again was one of the lowest we've ever seen in history. If we go back to fourth quarter of last year, we look at the midterm segment, was about 3.64%, and now we're at 2.68%. So we're almost about a 1% drop there. So as we stated before, that 1% equals about 10%. So again, if you had a $500,000 lump sum, it could have gone up to about $550 or so. $1 million could have gone up to 1.1 million, or 2 million could have gone up to 2.2 million. Now, unfortunately, the opposite holds true. We will see interest rates go back up. The question becomes when and how quickly will they go up. So if we do see rates start to go up in the future, and we have another 1% raise, for instance, we could see that $1 million drop to $900,000. So it's very important, if anybody is looking at retirement in the next year or two, that we monitor those rates for you and let you know what the changes are from quarter to quarter, because it could mean staying on an extra quarter could actually cost you $10, $20, $30, $50,000 in your pension lump sum. So depending upon your income, you could essentially be working for free in some situations. Now, at the end of the day, we would like to run that cash flow analysis for you so you can see what those choices are, because we talked about the lump sums and the interest rates here being the lowest we've ever seen, which are generating some of the highest lump sums, which attracts a lot of people. But in all honesty, the annuity may be the best choice for you, or a combination of the annuity and the lump sum. But the best way to figure that out is to run that cash flow analysis so we can show you what those choices look like, not just now, but in 5, 10, 15, and 20 years down the road as well. So just give us a call and we'll be happy to run that cash flow analysis for you. If it's been over a year or so, we've run one for you, give us a call again and we'll be happy to update that with the new interest rates and especially the market shifts. Now, at the end of the day, we would actually love to work with you. We do understand if you're working with somebody else already, but we do suggest you get a second opinion. We actually suggest our own clients get a second opinion every few years just to keep us on our toes. But make sure whoever you are working with, they do understand your pension and health benefits. Make sure that you understand their fee structure. We are fiduciaries and we're very transparent on our fee structure. We're not a one-size-fits-all firm where everybody goes into the same cookie-cutter approach. Our goal is to use that cash flow analysis to determine what your actual income needs are and back into an appropriate investment plan and go through the pros and cons and the choices you have within that plan. Make sure you're working with an experienced team. So it's not just one person trying to do everything. Make sure there's a team backing them up with some additional research. And make sure, again, you run that cash flow analysis, but make sure you do it from a conservative standpoint. Do not be too optimistic. You want to look at it from a conservative, almost a pessimistic approach, so that if you do survive that cash flow analysis, you'll actually survive real retirement as well. So again, I want to thank everybody for taking a little bit of time out of their day. Again, these interest rates are correlating to the highest lump sums we've ever seen. So again, if you have any questions or want to run your calculations or need help with it, give us a call at 1-800-900-5867. And again, visit us at theretirementgroup.com and we'll be happy to, again, update you on any information you need. But I want to thank everybody for joining me and I hope everybody stays safe.